in 1979. All those years, Amin was here for 8 years. Milton Obote was in exile in Tanzania. So an election was held in 1980. It was rigged in favor of Milton Obote. He came back, and President Museveni decided to go to the bush to fight the regime, the second regime of Milton Obote. Now, the heart of the war was within the kingdom of Buganda. And the Baganda, the subjects of the king, joined the Bush War to exact revenge against Milton Obote because he had abolished the kingdoms. And, you know, Obote was overthrown a second time by his generals. I hope you generals won't overthrow your presidents. Generals, you want to do those things. But anyway, his generals overthrew him a second time in 1985. Now, Yoweri Museveni also overthrew the generals about a year later, less than a year later, in January 1986. Now, our current king was in exile all along. From the time his father went into exile, 1966, our king was with him. So the king returned from exile in August 1986. And negotiations started between him and his teams of advisors with the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. And after 7 years of negotiations, protracted, the law was amended to unban monarchies, to unban them. And in 1993, the king was crowned. So in July 31st this year, our king will have been on the throne for 32 years. So that's how we come back to own these properties, because the negotiations involved restituting our properties. The topic here is the contribution of traditional leadership to peace and security. Now, when the monarchies were abolished in 1966-67, there was unrest, especially within the Kingdom of Buganda, and it is the largest. The Kingdom of Buganda is the largest, about a third of the country, with the biggest population, with the major economic and social activities for the entire country. So when the people of that area are unhappy, you can clearly understand how the country can't have peace. And President Museveni was able to successfully fight Milton Obote because his major fighting area was within Buganda. People were very unhappy with Milton Obote, who had overthrown their king. Having said that, the people in Buganda respect the Kabaka so very much. His word is law, essentially. If he says keep peace, people are going to listen. If he tells mothers in the villages to go for immunization for their babies, they will take them. If he tells us men to go tested for HIV, we shall go and get tested. That's how influential he is, and that's how he contributes to the stability of the country, because when the king is happily settled in his palace, his subjects are happy, and there is peace. If he's not happy, like was the case when he was overthrown in 1966, we had a very turbulent time in Uganda, actually. 66 to 71, but 71 to 80 was bad, then 80 to 85 was terrible. But since the restoration of the monarchies, we've been settled down. We've got issues that haven't been resolved. But that's how it is with public affairs. You always have something that hasn't been resolved. And I think what the king does, because right now under the law, the king can get involved in matters of education, matters of health, matters of poverty eradication. All these contributions contribute greatly to the, how should I call it? You know, people are settled because they've got a king, a leader who minds about their lives. A few hours back, I was within the grounds of the palace attending to, what do you call it? What do you call it? An exhibition. organized by the Kingdom Radio. It promotes economic empowerment of the ordinary people. And hundreds, maybe thousands of people are in attendance. And they told me to tell the king that they are very appreciative of the contribution of his radio to their well-being. He offers bursaries to underprivileged children. He offers medical services. So I think all these contribute to peace and stability in the country. Because, you know, just like you are in a home, if a father provides in a house, normally that house is peaceful. If a father doesn't provide, if a father has no relevance in the house, normally that home is restive. The people are always unruly. So I think in that sense, traditional leaderships contribute greatly to peace and security. And other kingdom areas have also got their programs, which are similar to what I'm talking about here, where they exist. So I think what Africa missed at independence is to appreciate our heritage in its wholesomeness, not only in Uganda, but in many countries in Africa. When you go to West Africa, for instance, when you go to Nigeria, when you go to Ghana, they've got different people, different nationalities with very rich history, with very rich heritages, which I think would ultimately contribute to national growth for as long as the national leaders appreciate them. But there was this attempt in Africa to create false unity by making people forget, try to make them forget their origins. And in many African countries, I think traditional leaderships were even abolished, even in our neighbors here in Tanzania. So I think what we have is what is very good for Africa, because Africans are still deeply rooted in their cultural heritages everywhere you go. If we learn to appreciate them, if we learn to work with them, if we let them promote the interests of their people, I think Africa will be more stable, Africa will be more peaceful. I started by talking about Congo. I don't know whether you know there was a massive kingdom of Congo, Congo with the letter K, not C. It was changed by the Belgians to C. That's how actually Congo itself gets its name. From the kingdom of the Congo, it was very powerful. It used to trade with the Portuguese. Way back before any of the countries here knew that there were Europeans out there in the northern hemisphere. But it was crushed by the Belgians, and the leaders who came after them chose not to accord them the space that I think is relevant to the ordinary people within Congo. So you are senior military officers, you are leaders, and I think it's very important to understand our histories, our backgrounds, because that makes you a more effective leader, because you know where we are coming from. How shall we know where we are going if we don't know where we came from, if we don't know where we are? So in conclusion, I want to thank General Francis Chakawea, General Francis Chakawea, and all the other officers who are here for coming here to learn one or two things about the Kingdom of Buganda. We want to coexist with the rest of the communities, because when you examine most African communities, we've got a lot more in common than the differences. And the biggest challenges for all the young countries in Africa, of course, are poverty, you know, diseases, lack of social services. I think we should address those together. Yet at the same time, we respect people within their, you know, interest groups, because they also exist. To deny them is to turn us into ostriches, which hide their heads thinking they're all hidden. The Ugandan example, the example of the Kingdom of Buganda, shows that people can live together. Live and let live. What we urge ourselves within Uganda is that you respect your neighbor's interests and you let them be. You respect them and you let them be. So I'm very happy that you are here, And I'm going to donate to the leader of the delegation this little booklet, which you can read over a cup of coffee. The brief history of the Kingdom of Buganda, the official residence of the king. We talk about how the kingdom was established. Something you can read, the dynasty of kings, origin of the clan system, I was talking about it. The concept of the cooking pot and the 3 cooking stones. Events leading to the abolition of the kingdom. The independence of Uganda, election of Kabaka Mutesa as president. This is me. A little younger here, but it's still me. So, I'm happy to give you this.